Okay guys, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. This is going to be a talk through because I'm doing brows, of course. So whenever I do my brows, I do like to have two kinds of brushes to do them with. I usually like to do them with the angled type of brush that you see here. So I have one, this one is kind of dense. This is the one I've used for a good while now. So I usually like to have this one, and I also like to have another kind of angled brush. You can have a straight line brush as well, but I also like to use one like this as well. As you can see, they are both angled brushes. And I use these angled brushes like this. This one I use is a little more dense. It's just perfect for going in there and really lining the eye precisely. And so it's this one here. I'm going to zoom you in so you can see. So these are like the brushes that I use for that. So this one I use to do my cleaning up, and then this brush here is the one I'm going to actually use to define the brows. Okay, so of course I use two Anastasia Dip Brow Pomades now. I use the one in chocolate, and I also use the one in soft brown. So first I start off with the one in chocolate. Now the one in chocolate, I'm actually going to use this to pretty much outline the eye, do a little bit of filling in, and then I go in with the soft brown. And then I also use a spoolie, which I had just a minute ago, and I use a spoolie brush that looks like this to comb through the brows. So the first thing I do is I always comb my brows in an upward motion and kind of get them in the shape that I'm looking for. Okay, so you guys see these are my natural brows. And also, like on the weekends, I groom my brows every 3 days. I have like an angled razor that looks like this. You can pick these up at your local Walmart. And I also use the Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is the tweezers that looks like this. I use those. And of course I keep a pair of shears to also help trim the hairs as well. And that's just a regular pair of shears, nothing special about those. Okay, so I will go in, I will groom that every 3 days or whatever. I do my plucking and everything myself. I normally pluck underneath as opposed to doing it on top. I just like to do it underneath. I think it gives a much cleaner looking brow. Okay, so like I said, taking this, going into the chocolate pomade, and I get a very little bit out. Mine is pretty almost dry, but I just get a little bit of this out, guys, and then I just rub the side of it like that, and you can see what it looks like. It doesn't look too creamy, but I just basically get the thinnest amount on there, see, like that. And then I'll start with the outline of the brows. Now one thing I will tell you is to do your natural brow. Don't try to imitate someone else's brows, but to actually do your own brow, guys, and that's just the simplest way. I don't go all the way in. You see, this is where the brow starts. I kind of go a little bit further back, and I do the same when I do the top. Not picking up any more product, but I'm just basically following the curvature and the outline of that brow. So that's brow number one. Then what I'll do is I'll go back in and I'll get some more of the chocolate. And this time I go back, and it's more to fill in, so I go more towards the back or the middle section of the brow. And I begin to fill in. And you guys can see me doing that here. Not really putting any more product on there than what I already did for that second dip. And I take it all the way to the front, but I start in the middle section first with the most product. The middle to the back, and then what's left on the brush I bring toward the front, doing a sweeping back motion. Okay, so that's what the brow looks like. Then next I go into a soft brown, and I go in again. I get a couple wipe downs of this. I put the excess onto the side of my container, so I just wipe it off a little bit because you don't want it to look messy. And then I start this in the beginning, put a little bit in the beginning, and some toward, but the most of it, the heaviest hand towards the end or the back end of the brow to really define it. And then again, I go in and get more product. Now with doing a lighter color, you can make it look really, really dark because we're going to brush it through actually. So it really doesn't matter too much. And then I also like to flick upward like that. Okay, so that's pretty much what that brow looks like for you guys. And then what I do is I will either comb through, or you can let it set for a little while. Sometimes I would tend to let it set. Since I need to go ahead and do this brow, I could just let it set. But I'm going to go ahead and comb through. So I take it, the thing's bent at an angle, and it's just easier to go through it like this for me. And I just do that going all the way back. Then when I get to the front end of the brow, because I want that to look like the lightest, I just really brush those hairs near the front kind of hard. And the reason for that is because I want it to look like it was faded out. Now if you see any harsh lines underneath, I'll take the brush and I'll kind of just like wiggle it to soften those lines. And that's pretty much that brow. And after that, I go in with my MAC palette. I know that NYX also has a palette like this. It just came out. I think it's around about $12 or something like that. But they also have a palette like this now. And I take the lightest shade, which I believe would be the NC40. And I just go underneath my brows with the other angled brush, which is what I'm going to do now. And you use this for your cleanup. So here I start at the beginning of the brow, tracing my brow shape, and anywhere that it doesn't look clean, I just make sure I go and clean it up. Or anywhere that I wish that the angle was more precise, I just go in with this and I clean it up. Then I take whatever concealer is left and I blend it downward toward the rest of my lid. Okay, so that's what that one looks like. Now if you feel that you've taken away too much or you need to go back, then go back with that soft brown color that you just used and use whichever is on the brush to go back and kind of fill back in. If you feel that you went a little bit over the top, which I didn't, I feel that the top looks fine, and that's where I normally tend not to worry too much with. But if you feel that you've messed up somewhere along the top, you can also take a color that's more your skin tone, or you can take the same color and you can go over that one as well. But that's pretty much how the brows look, guys, when I do them. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to go ahead and do this brow. I'm going to do this one in a fast forward kind of motion so you guys can see the two brows compared to one another. So this is before and this is after, and I'm going to go ahead and do the other brow so you can see that, and I'm going to fast forward it, and then you guys are going to see the completed brow. So yeah, so let's go ahead and do that.